Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, good afternoon from us in Working Group 5. We are in this final session trying to give you a helicopter view of what we have seen with projects and where we are going with this work. As we have already indicated today, and also our chairman has indicated, Working Group 5 is a mobilization of experts in support of research and innovation work in EU to reach the market, and to this effect work closely with all working groups of ETIP SNET to utilize project results in support of research and innovation needs for the years to come. So to this effect, work for the establishment of a multifunctional platform. We are working on that together with the Pantera project, which is a coordination and support action, and the GNR, also Spring project within ETIP SNET, and we are working together in order to deliver this platform because we consider it of critical importance for supporting the work that we are doing every day as ETIP SNET, but not only as a research and innovation community in the energy transition. So we, within Working Group 5, we are trying to build homogeneity in the analysis of projects, work done, and lessons learned, and create a common platform through which we can build the way forward, build a universal approach in the taxonomy of technologies that constitute the evolution of functionalities in building the smart networks of 2050 in support of the energy transition, and also build a methodology to judge system needs in the energy transition capable of identifying tangible needs for building on progress made and give feedback to the other working groups for populating their research and innovation needs in the years ahead. So now, what are we really doing with the classification of technologies? Christina, please.
Yes, hello everyone. As indicated by Venizelos, we need to have a homogeneity of the technologies classification. We need a universal approach, and this will help us and allow us to structure all the data coming from the project in a way that we can further exploit and analyze, and of course all the critical information and knowledge can be shared there to the project and to the RNI community in general. You can see here a really high-level schematic coming from the EIRIE platform and how this classification is used in order to build the critical information that we would like to. As already mentioned by Venizelos, the different technologies and systems is actually a list of technologies that are connected and are serving the functionalities of the system, and give a feedback about how mature is the system of the future. It will give a consistent feedback to the implementation and then to the vision, to the roadmap. And this will be a cycle that will be fed in by the projects and all the new information that is coming to the EIRIE platform. So in the next slide, as already mentioned, we need this solid classification to be universal and to be approached the same way from all the projects. We have identified as experts of ETIP SNET a list of technologies and systems with their description in order to capture the smart grid system from end to end. This is really important to include all the different technologies and systems in order to cover all the wide range of what smart grid systems include. So we came up with 5 larger groups of systems consisting of 33 technologies and subsystems, and we needed to validate this classification. We have selected to move with a hybrid approach. We have the validation from Working Group 5 ETIP SNET as a top-down approach, and validated by the researcher of the RNI community having a bottom-up approach. As you can see in the next slide, you can see the different cycles of validation that we have performed in order to secure that this is a universal approach and it will cover all the range of emerging technologies and all the rates of the projects. And what is really important is that through this list of technologies, all the projects can self-classify themselves and can find the technology and the systems that actually advance through their research and through their projects. So we have different cycles of validation for 1.5 years now, and with the participation of more than 200 projects. We have Pantera experts along with us, Working Group 5 ETIP SNET experts. We have started this classification with the Intensives for You experts and the Bridge Initiative. Of course, the Spring experts are collaborating with us on this. And in order to classify from the bottom-up approach, we have the different regional workshops. And today we had also a feedback from a ETIP SNET regional workshop. So we have sent a questionnaire that actually asked certain projects in order to self-classify themselves under this categorization, under this classification. And the circle of validation has completed, having a feedback on slightly amends a description of a certain technology / system in order to be more inclusive. So that's all from my side.
Yes, Makbouber, can you continue, please?
Yes, hello everybody. As Maria Laura said, we share a questionnaire to all project presented today, and now I present actually the outcome of the questionnaire. But before that, I shortly explain what this questionnaire is about. This questionnaire is in a line and complementary with European Commissioning Innovation Radar assessment. And we developed the questionnaire in order to collect and analyze quantitatively and objectively project outcome. The questionnaire based on 3 pillars: innovation management, innovation readiness, and market potential. And the aim is to provide practical advice and recommendation to project with the focus on go-to-market strategy and assess the impact of additional aspects such as scalability, replicability, risk and sustainability potential, and business model issues. So this questionnaire had also benefit for developer for the roadmap and implementation plan, that they can actually fine-tune their work. So next slide, we show that how we organize actually the result of the questionnaire. They are organized in 6 areas. The area of the technical description that actually assess TRL level, singularity, essence, and uniqueness of the prototype or solution. Then this is exploitation, that is assessment of the building and validating value proposition. That is business plan is about understanding the market and competition analysis, customer identification, segmentation, willingness analysis. And then is the area of the ecosystem that assessing social and technical impact, as well as assessing legal issues, including patent protection. Then is investor and finance, which assess the ability to convince future investor and secure capital investment, and having a clear cost and finance structure. And last but not least is skill, experience, and cultural assessment of the management team and how complementary they are together. So in next slide, we go to the first session, which is in electromobility integration in the energy system. We show 2 projects. One of them is a SmartNet, that is a smart TSO-DSO interaction scheme. Market architecture and ICT solution for the integrated of ancillary service from demand side management and distribution generation. And as you see, they have the lowest score in two areas. One of them is business planning, which dedicate to the understanding market and competition analysis and customer identification, and also exploitation, which is about assessment and building and evaluating of the value proposition. So the second project is EVA, that is optimization of regional infrastructure for the transition of the electric and connected autonomous vehicle, EVA. They have lowest score in the ecosystem, which is assessing the social and technical impact and also legal issues, and business plan, which dedicate to understanding the market and competition analysis. In next slide is the second session, that is cooperation between energy system operator. SCCER demo project is monitoring and management system of the future power grid, grid control solution and optimization. In the project, the lowest score goes to the ecosystem, which is assessing social and technical impact, and also business plan, understanding market and competition analysis. For the TDX assist, the project is coordination of transmission and distribution data exchange for renewable integration in the European market through advanced, scalable, and secure ICT system and tools. According to their project, to the questionnaire, they have a problem with the financing and finding the investor and a secure capital. The third project is about the interface. This is TSO-DSO consumer interface architecture to provide grid service for an efficient power system. The lowest scores goes to finance and capital investment, and also the business plan. That means understanding market and competition analysis and customer identification. So in the next slide, we go to the third session, that is digitalization, managing energy data and cybersecurity. There is a project Platon that is on digitalize the energy sector, enabling higher level of the operation excellence with the adapting of this disruption technology. The problem or the lowest score goes to the ecosystem. It means to the social and technical impact and legal issues. Then this is project Platone, that is a platform for operating of distribution network with the aim of defining new approach to increase the observability of renewable energy and predictability. The lowest score goes to exploitation, which is building and validating value proposition, and also finance and securing the capital investment on having a clear cost and finance structure. The next project is the Synergy, which is energy data value creation. This is energy as a service application that goes through trusted multi-party data sharing and using artificial intelligence to analyze the data. The lowest score is in the business planning. It means understanding the market and competition analysis. And the last project in this session is the REDAP, that is Regional Energy Demand Analysis Portal, and which provide region with the clarity and characteristic distribution and pattern of the energy demand in the building and transport sector. They have more or less actually this similar score in every area, and it is around about 50% of the whole score. And the last slide is for the session 4, consumer involvement, citizen engagement and energy community. We have a project Solar that is involving citizen engagement and energy community. They have a demonstration project in the real estate with the 22 household with installing a smart meter and technology and making local PV CHP generation. the integrated system with the heat pump, electric vehicle chargers, and showcase goes to, so to say, using the or integrating renewable energy system and minimizing grid load. They have also the best score goes to the management team. This is actually common in all projects that they have more or less good or complementary team. And the lowest score goes to the business plan. It means in identifying the market and competition analysis. And also for the RIASANS, if I pronounce correctly, that is renewable integration and sustainability in the energy community, and they have also more or less similar score in all field, and the lowest one goes to the business plan, which is detecting the market and competition analysis, and also customer identification, segmentation, and willingness analysis. That was actually the output of the questionnaire for the project that's shown in the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mahbouba, and also Christina, for this valuable information to this first regional workshop of ETIP SNET. As you can appreciate, there is a lot of work going behind the scenes, as we said, trying to give a helicopter view of what is happening, but also trying to help projects to do their evaluation and not lose their momentum towards innovation and towards making their system interoperable and ready for the market, and trying to evaluate themselves in order to give correct evidence as to where we are going evolution into the grid of tomorrow. So we are, of course, happy to receive more experts in our work, and you are welcome to do it. We didn't have enough time in order to conclude with all projects today, but we promise that we will go back to all projects and we will continue this discussion in order to make sure that we give back our reaction and our feedback to their work. But also, what we promise is that through the work that we are doing within Working Group 5, but also through the work that we are doing through the Coordination and Support Action Pantera, we are putting together this EIRIE platform, the multifunctional platform that is being developed in order to support all this work and the research and innovation work in Europe for all Europeans. And as you can see, it is a platform that will be connecting with every other information, knowledge, and data within Europe, and trying to give the capabilities and possibilities and tools and methods and all that we have described today. But a lot more will be a day-to-day operation within EIRIE in order to help projects, give them a platform to communicate, platform to liaise with, and build their knowledge forward. And as you can see, the EIRIE platform is going to be hosted within the Smart Energy System Service of JRC, and promising a sustainable tomorrow, because Pantera has a date, is completing to the end of 2022, but that's not the end. We are continuing. Spring project is going, the one that Maria Laura is representing, is going to take over and continue this work forward, and the GNR has promised that it will give in the future services to these solutions that we are putting forward through constant service contracts in order to continue this work forward. So closely working with Working Group 5 for developing tools, solutions, connectivity, and much more is a way forward, and we promise that we will deliver what we have been talking today, but also what is expected from you, the research and innovation community of Europe. Thank you very much, Maria Laura. This is the end of our presentation.
Thank you very much, Venizelos. So this was really interesting. These are clear, let's say, tangible results of the activities that you are carrying out in Working Group 5, and that of course needs the contribution of all the stakeholders, all the project representatives, and all the people that we have here around our virtual table today. So we need always to keep in mind also this market uptake angle that seems to go a bit beyond the innovation as such, but is needed to ensure the deployments and the implementation of our exercise, of our research innovation identified. In order to see what are potentially new research innovation identified or some path to follow up, let's go through the key conclusion of each of our parallel session today. And I will ask Aris, Nikos, Rainer, and Ludwig as moderators of this session, together with Rita and Esther for session 2 and 4, and Shenia for session 1, to tell us briefly in 5 minutes each what are the key conclusions of our parallel sessions. So please, let's start with Aris.
Okay.
And if you have any slides you can share, otherwise you can. Thanks.
Okay. I think we had an interesting discussion. I tried to map some main points. At least 2 of the projects were focusing on the customer engagement and how they will make their solutions more user-friendly. There is issues about the complexity of the charging process to find the charging station, the proper payment system, etc. So the solution should be more user-friendly and agile to the needs of each user group and use cases. And one interesting comment is in several cases now the range of the car is not a big problem because the battery, the new cars have bigger batteries, so this creates no problems. Another project showed blockchain technology and used blockchain technology. It's an approach that has some several benefits. It's more economic, it's easy to implement, and you can easily create rewards for the end user, the driver, and properly manage the charging station. One of the projects also focused on autonomous driving and what is the impact on the distribution system and how autonomous driving in the future, or near future I hope, affect the distribution grid. And finally, regarding advanced charging stations in seat EV, is testing wireless technologies. The concept here is to make the charging procedure more friendly to the user, in order to avoid to find the proper charging station, etc. And this is tested in different type of drivers, taxi, urban environment, etc. Next slide. And afterwards we had the discussion, and I just picked some comments during the open discussion. It's important to identify different use cases and the target audience, because there are different type of user, different type of needs. In some cases, there is a need of a lot of data exchange. Where is the data charging station, type of charges, etc. Some discussion about the battery size and the impact of the bigger batteries in the new cars, which creates less needs for optimization of the route and to find the optimal, the best charging point. However, one question is the optimal size of the battery. It's important to consider the integration of renewables and how to utilize renewable energy in the charging process. A comment from NCOE, which comes from a recent study, that it's quite important to consider the impact on peak capacity and not mainly on energy requirements, and this will affect the design of future networks. And a final comment that we should take into consideration that there are too many stakeholders involved in the whole value chain of EV management, and this should be considered by the projects.
Thank you, Aris. Thank you for these interesting conclusions. And now let's pass the floor to Nikos and Rita for the conclusion for parallel session 2 in cooperation between energy system operators.
Thank you, Maria Laura. I hope Rita can display her screen.
Yeah, we see the screen. You can go ahead. At least I see the screen. I hope that everyone is seeing.
But you don't see the screen, I know, unfortunately.
We see.
Oh, okay. Now you see the
Yes.
screen. Okay, so we had a very interesting session, really, with many ideas, many interesting inputs. In fact, we had presentation of results from 5 projects. 2 were bridge projects, and they were large projects. In fact, they are projects that collaborate. That was a very good to know that we have at the end a common, let's say, more or less conclusion from the 2 projects. These bridge projects cover almost all levels and aspects of the system operation, of DSO, TSO operation. They presented several specific services like congestion management, voltage control, also controlled islanding, balancing services, etc. There was a good discussion about different collaboration models and market models. There are several models that are tried in both projects, very interesting. And then there was emphasis on data exchange platforms, what type of data they exchange, and also various platforms, or at least 2 platforms that are being developed that can help this collaboration. And then we had 3 regional projects dealing again with more focused services. We had a nice project about dynamic voltage control in UK, also about grid-aware control of battery storage, and this was a Swiss project. So that was interesting also from the point of view of ownership of battery and how the platform is run that provides awareness of the available flexibilities and how the 2 operators can exploit this flexibility. There was a lot of information about the data exchange platforms and the data models used. That was also a very interesting point about the adoption of CIM and other data models. Again, very interesting inputs. Well, our general conclusion is that the research in system operation has reached high tier levels. There's a lot of research being done, and with interesting conclusions already. That does not mean, of course, that there is no more R&I needed. However, we think that there is more need for innovation applied projects. More research should be done on how these outcomes will be adopted and used by the various system operators in Europe. And another point that is not written here is when we run the input, the feedback from the participants, there was not much also input in the planning stage. So it seems that there is still not enough results of how operators use the flexibility of the various levels in their planning exercise, which is, I think, another very interesting area. And if we go to the next slide, we had also we were lucky to have 2 chairs of working groups in our discussion. The one was working group 1, where Natalie presented the interesting work, the main conclusion of the interesting work of energy sector coupling, confirming that this is, of course, of primary importance as always. And then we had in our voting, it was confirmed that electricity and gas, electricity and heating and cooling, electricity and mobility are still areas that need a lot of research in several aspects. And then there was an interesting interesting point by Alex Widerman, who told us about we should also think of how we can use existing infrastructures like transmission lines and lignite coal power plant sites, after, of course, the lignite plants have been withdrawn. So how can use them in the future decarbonized system, for example, in projects like hydrolyzing units, in storage, and how we could look at market models to develop this, to exploit these existing infrastructures. So that concludes the main points of this discussion.
Thank you, Nikos. Thank you for these highlights. I'm collecting some notes, and we try to wrap up later. But thanks for this, Rainer.
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
I don't have a slide. I can tell you. I'm typing it, but anyway, I'm not yet finished. But I will just talk about a very interesting, also another very interesting session. This was about digitalization in general, but we thought we would talk about the data, managing data, and about cybersecurity. And I can already tell you, but we didn't talk a lot about cybersecurity, and it developed very in an interesting way, this session. So we had 6 projects. I can tell you we had many applications for projects for this session. We are ready for the next regional workshops. We had 3 additional people besides the 6 projects. We had Svetoslav Mielov from the EC, DG Connect, and we had the Workgroup 4 representative, Elena Paskov, and we had also, and this is was very valuable too, from the Bridge Data Management Group, Olivier Genest. So we tried to bring together views from Bridge and from the EC and the projects, and to conclude what to do in next. What do we need to do? Now, very briefly, what was said. I don't summarize the 6 projects. I think right now the slides will be available. What were the discussion points then? First, digitalization is an enabler. Very trivial, but it was emphasized, and we see that again because when you hear what Nikos was just talking, he was mentioning data, digitalization. Also, it happens in all the areas. And the other statement was really digitalization is everywhere. So the conclusion was, well, then how do we select digitalization use cases to really learn what we need to learn there? What is it? Are all use cases qualifying? Are all research areas qualifying for digitalization? What makes it special? Why should we talk about it on its own? And so we had different dimensions of the discussion. One was that digitalization is more than data and numbers, clearly, and an interesting thought was coming in. This is also about compliance. This is about mapping legislation and new ideas. But the big discussion which we had really came up when we talked about the difference of digitalization, let's say, initiatives on the EU level compared to what we are doing within ETIP SNET. Immediately, and also the EC was bringing in her reviews, it was about data spaces. So we had a very interesting discussion about data spaces where it was said, and this is interesting to everybody, I think, there are several exercises going on the EC level, Horizon Europe, Gaia X, Interreg, which all deal with digitalization on different spaces. And we then asked ourselves in the discussion, what makes the energy data space special, if at all? What is different from mobility, from health, from agriculture? And actually, it was very nicely, I think, provoked by what the EC said. Energy is losing out. That's what I have in my notes, which means that the digitalization innovation is very strongly influenced by what is happening outside of the energy space. And then I asked on purpose, so then what makes the energy system digitalization special? Why should we still talk about it? And why? What types of research comes from the energy world, so-called, versus from the other worlds? And so statements were then made by the audience, very many, like operator there should be a focus on operators, like they create in the energy systems integration world a lot of specials. This was one side. The other one was the customer, the consumer, should be the data center in the energy system. It was generalized to the data owner actually should be the focus. So it's just the guy, the entity who owns data should be the specialty. And of course, we would need to define in the energy systems world who is that. But this was one side. The other side was, sorry, there are and there will be no boundaries between the energy data space and the other data spaces. It was even emphasized that we should remove the borders of digitalization between the energy system world and the other worlds. Well, it was a little bit focusing in our terminology by saying we should become cross-sectorial and interoperable. So the sectors were mentioned, like water, mobility, and it was also mentioned that we are working on these sectors which are near to our world. So we need to cooperate with of the energy system to the other systems. We need to learn much more from each other. It was said that probably we really do not know enough about the other data worlds. What was very interesting, when some of us defended the complexity of the energy system, it was really questioned whether our data world is more complex than or differently complex compared to, mobility, health, agriculture, and so on. Right. So I will just finish. So at the conclusion was that the specials could be perhaps the masses of data in real time, which are very special for the energy system, and that we need a distributed global energy system, not cloud-based. Let me just finish what was really not discussed, but I think was the cybersecurity issue, but I think it was moved conceptually to the higher level data spaces. I think they need to solve the cybersecurity issues for the energy system. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rainer. I would like to add one point to this key conclusion about the architectures. So was highlighted the need to identify which architecture to use, analyze them in the proper way. So this was one last point that came into my mind. Then Ludwig, 5 minutes for you, and then we close the workshop. Ludwig and Esther, thanks for appearing to me, and sorry for having forget you. Thanks, Rainer. Please.
Yes, as you said correctly, it's the two of us.
Yes, and our parallel session was about the customer and community participation in the. And we wrote here down in some post-its, but then digital post-its, what we heard and what we found. And one of the first things was what we heard and what was said is that sometimes you do need a top-down approach. Think about heat systems. But then it's very important to keep the customer in mind, to keep the customer in the design. And another comment we heard is about the combination of technology with the social sciences, which means to combine the technology with the psychology. because it's all about people. People are different, and how to get them on board and how to make the system fit to that customer or that participant or that community. And also we heard that finding or funding programs should explicitly call for the integration of the social sciences in our energy projects or programs. Another one is that when we understand that the citizen or the person, the customer, is in our system, and we have to think about it, and about that participation, we also talk about businesses, about companies, and the public domain, which is also a customer. That's because sometimes we forget about that, or sometimes it's good to stress that as well. We also said we need more live projects. We could say living labs to test and to have real solutions in life. And how we live with all those differences. Another thing which came up is if you talk about what moves a customer, or what are the incentives for a customer to switch or to become a good citizen, then we also see we need an incentive to switch. Just incentive, or a reason, or a driver to switch to a new system. Yeah, and one of the remarks we also heard, it must be possible to trade or to share with other prosumers.
Yeah, so there's 1 minute left for the number 2 slide. Maria, we will do it.
Yes. Yes.
Esther said it. People are different. We were happy to have psychologists in our group here, and they clearly communicated that don't believe that everybody has the same driver and the same desire or wish or whatsoever. They are different, and some need such top-down thing like legislation, regulation. Some people want to participate on a municipal level, and then we were quite political discussion then, where we more or less said, when we really want to get where we want to get with energy transition, we need to include this process into existing development processes on municipal level, for example, whether that be spatial planning, implementation programs for the sustainability development goals or whatsoever. Communities, so municipalities can drive it a lot, but at the same time, we most probably do not have the right and the most effective governance models. So we need to look at governance models that allow for better participation of people. And again, we said it's not only the people in the residential homes, it's also the people that leading a company or people that are at the head of a non-governance organization or whatsoever. And then we had a nice discussion on whether we need more participatory processes in existing businesses, whether that be utilities or other companies. But then, Esther, you said no, something is with the new jacket. You have to say that, because we had a debate on that.
Yes, yeah, because if you have the existing businesses doing the new thing with the customer participation, you design a new system, but you also have democracy by design. That's very difficult if you already have an institute already there. So if you say that if the existing industry can do this transition, then it needs a new jacket. It needs new design parameters.
More or less, we started at the question whether we need local flexibility marketplaces, and we ended up in a democracy discussion. Quite nice for 45 minutes. This is the poll. We said, okay, what is it that most probably drives people? More or less, people agreed that it's energy communities, citizen energy communities, renewable energy communities. They are a big chance. And what's missing? Yeah, we have still legislation limitations. We are missing the right policies And of course, we are missing the reasonable incentives and some other pieces. There's enough to do in ETIP and Bridge and wheresoever. I hope you are happy, Maria, what we collected.
Yes, and following up your last comment, there is a lot still to do. But of course, with the collaboration of all of you and also the participants, we will meet this expectation and the needs. What I take from all the key conclusions are key messages, and also one of the key messages, the interconnection among all these topics that we discuss about, because what some keywords came out from your key conclusion, and we need to focus also on them. So I'm thinking about use cases needs, user needs, and we have keep customers in the design, integrate social science as well, and share with prosumers, so not only consumers but also keep in mind the prosumer side. On the other side, this was also important for the parallel session 1 for electromobility, so keep in mind the user needs, what they need as well, and integrate with other energy sources. Coming back to the second session, for example, one message in common with digitalization, that is a cross-cutting sector. Now we understand more and more this, and we need to work on it. Is also that exchange platform infrastructure, something really important message that we need to explore more and dig into. From energy sector coupling is a top importance. So we really need to work on it in this integration. As we said, said by Nikos, research already reached some high level for example, for energy system operators, but this doesn't mean that we need to leave it on the side, but we need to focus more on innovation and also the next steps, what are still needed there. And digitalization, again, is cross-cutting, is an enable. And after today, we understood that is more cross-cutting than we thought, Rainer, I think. So we need to dig also in other sectors and see this in a vision of sectorial interoperability. Said that, with this short summary, I would like to invite all of the participants to still apply to the next call that we will issue in the next week or around 10 days from now. You will follow us on our website, social media. This will be publicized, or come back to us if you already want to apply for the 12th ETIP SNET regional workshop that will be on 22nd of June. So in these slides, I missed the most important information, so the date. But it will be on 22nd of June, but save the date will be sent soon, and registration links again. Now, we are 5 minutes late, and I'm the one that is stealing you a bit of time for lunch time, but please let me do the final thanking. I want really to thank Shenia and Valentina and Clarence team for organizing from all the logistics aspects this event. Really thanks to you. Pailin, my colleague, and my communication team from Zabala for organizing. All you are followed up, hopefully, on the social media and from a logistic point of view. Now, thanks very much, moderators. So really thanks for putting your expertise in this workshop and your experience. And to follow up with us in Spring project that is supporting ETIP SNET for this exercise of implementation and roadmap. Really thanks for what you did today and for what you will do later. Thanks to the working groups, ETIP SNET representatives, to be here and give us your added value, sure added value. Thank you, the European Commission, for having gave us some inputs for thinking about it, for following up and going the right direction. And last but not least, thanks to all the participants, all the project representatives that allow us to make these events possible and a success. So now, have a good lunch. Thank you, and hopefully see all of you on 22nd of June for our next regional workshop.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Yeah, welcome. Don't worry. Thank you.
Many thanks. Greetings from Norway.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Grazie Maria.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.